Hey guys, what is up? It is Lee here and welcome to a new video. This is going to be a Telos boss guide using melee. Now as you can see on screen there, it is going to be with augmented Torva. So I don't really have any augmented tier 90 armor yet, so this can be done quite nicely with augmented tier 80. And this is going to be a guide for 0 Enrage to 99% Enrage. Depending on how this video gets views and likes wise, I will end up making a phase 5 guide in the future if you do want one. But for now, I'm just going to be making a guide on Enrages 0% to 100% or 99%, just so you can get a few chained kills there and get a nice little loot streak on the go. So yeah guys, pause the video now and you can see the inventory and also the setup that I do use. All this information will be in the description below, so if you do want to check that out, pause the video and have a look at the description and that'll all be in there as well. And I also adding in timestamps in this video as well. They'll be in the description. You'll see them on when phase 1 starts, when phase 2 starts and so forth. So yeah guys, let's crack on with the guide. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so here is phase 1. Now, I'm guessing the majority of you have been attempting Telos with it being new game content, so I'm pretty much certain the majority do know about its attack styles, but for phase 1, all you want to be doing is protecting melee, and its 3 special attack styles, the attack cycle in this kill, or in this phase, are always the same. It always will start with a Telos grip, and then it'll do a surge cleave, a yellow beam at the same time, and then it will do the stomp attack at the end, and that will then go on to repeat the cycle again to do the grip, then the surge cleave with the yellow beam, and you know, the stun stomp again like I said, and it will just keep doing that until you complete the phase. The yellow beam on this phase will give your character adrenaline at the cost of a few prayer points, but you don't really notice it that much. Now if you let Telos stay in the beam and let it charge up to a full 100%, then it will unleash its special attack, which fires like an anima core ball at you, and it will hit between 8 to 12k, so just watch out for that. So now that you've got the tactics down, then you want to start off the fight and you want to start building adrenaline to get past 50% so you can start doing your first threshold. Because we now know the cycles of the attacks, that means the first attack is going to be a grip attack, which means that you need to deal damage to get out of it. So when you get over 50% adrenaline and the grip attack happens, you want to use Hurricane to get out of that special attack. So before we get on to Telos' second and third special abilities, I've put some abilities that we can use to negate the damage and help us throughout the whole fight. This is going to help a lot throughout the whole fight, not just this phase. So for the cleave attack, we can use Resonance, and that will fully negate the damage, hitting a 0 on us and not dealing any damage at all on us. You can also use Reflect. It will obviously deal damage to the player, but you will also deal damage back to the boss, which isn't too bad. And as for the third attack, and that is the stomp attack, if you use Devotion before the attack even happens and then use Freedom or Anticipate after the initial stun, then you can either move left or right and you can avoid that huge stomp, which does deal a huge amount of typeless damage on you, which I'll explain in a minute. And also, as seen on screen there, I would recommend stacking Storm Shards, as this is going to help us during phase 3 of the fight. So if you can stack about 6 or 7 shards before you drop down to phase 3, this is going to help us a lot. Okay, so as the boss charges up its cleave attack, you want to equip your shield or your shield bow, and you want to click the resonance ability. Now this will negate the damage. This will mean that the boss will hit a 0 on you when it does the cleave. Also after the cleave, just after the cleave, it will spawn the yellow beam, or the yellow beam will spawn in the room, in which you can stand in it. If you use Devotion, Anticipate before the stomp attack, you can freely move left or right and you will gain no damage again, which is a perfect ability rotation down to use. If you don't have Anticipate on cooldown and you get stunned, then simply freedom out of it and either surge or move left or right. You can also use the Berserk ability while in the beam, as it gives you more adrenaline, but it is slightly risky, as a few auto attacks from the boss after the beam appears, you will then be getting the stomp special ability, which isn't really that good to do. It's best to Berserk after the beam has diminished, and you can then just go around doing the same rotation as you did last until you end up completing the phase and getting the boss down to whatever HP is required for it to break the platform and go on to phase 2, which we shall move on to right now. Okay, so now on to phase 2. After completing phase 1, you should drop down to phase 2 with possibly 1 or 2 brew doses drank or 1 rocktail eaten, if that. So this phase is generally a longer phase than phase 1 and phase 3, mainly because of what the black beam does. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, in a sense that when you stand in the black beam, it reduces the damage that your character deals, but it also reduces the damage received at the same time. So it is going to be a slightly long, time-consuming phase, maybe 3 to 4 minutes depending on how good your DPS is, but generally it is quite a safe phase if you get all the rotations down correctly, and depending on what the special attacks do and how well you negate them. So on screen now is the phase 2 attack cycle and how Telos cycles through its special abilities, and to begin with, on this phase it started off with a Telos' grip. Now I do believe this can be different depending on what Enrage you're on, and it could be just generally different for the character that's doing it at the time. Like you could start with a stomp and then it will go on to a surge and cleave, and then it will go to a Telos' grip, and then it will do magic attacks. But generally, once you figure out the order of the rotations that it does its special attacks, it will be the same throughout phase 2. So as you can see on screen there, it will do magic attacks during this phase, so you want to pray magic when the magic attacks do happen. When Telos starts to do its magic attacks, just pray mage and it will not do a special ability until Telos starts meleeing again. Now this black beam will appear frequently, you just want to keep moving around the room, keep using bleeds like Slaughter, and just keep moving into the beam and you won't really take too much damage. Also, just keep reminding yourself to stack them shards up ready for phase 3 because they are going to be needed ASAP, and they are a very, very good help for phase 3 when we drop down to it and when we start speaking about it. But generally, if you get these special attacks nailed down, like you res the surge and you also devotion the stomp, then the first 2 phases you really shouldn't take much damage at all. So last but not least then, on phase 2 would be when the boss is around a quarter life points from phasing down to phase 3, then you want to make sure your character has stacked as much shards on it as possible. I'd say 5 to 7 is a good number to have, and also make sure your character is 100% adrenaline going down into phase 3, because we're going to need as much adrenaline as possible and to get off as much damage as possible as well, which we may as well speak about when we go on to phase 3 right now. So here we are then, on to phase 3. Now what you'll notice is we have a bar in the top left like on all the other phases, but this time it has 2 little red sides and a green centre. Now when this green centre goes to the left, Telos will drain your prayer and adrenaline. Now onto the right it will do a shockwave attack which causes high hitting typeless damage, which means you can't really avoid it unless you use something like barricade, which we really don't want to do under this circumstances because we want to get this phase done and out of the way as soon as possible. So, ways to make the green line go to the left is always stand in the red beam when possible, and there is 3 minions that do spawn on this phase, and if we kill them it does reduce Telos' drain rate and it goes to the left rather than the right. So moving on to phase 3 attack cycle. So we've got a little bit of information on screen right now, and phase 3 attacks are magic based, so you want to be protecting mage when you move on to phase 3. It will do 3 or 4 normal regular attacks before the red beam does spawn, and when that beam does spawn you want to move into it. A bit like phase 2, you want to just keep moving into it, and you want to be fully aware on how quickly that beam does change around and move around, so you want to just keep getting in that, just because it does lower the bar at the top left up there, and it does put it more into the left hand side rather than into the right hand side, where it does do the blast effect and you do get hit by that typeless damage, which is not what we want. So the 2 special abilities that this boss does do on phase 3 is the stomp and the cleave, so there's no need to worry about the grip because it will not do it on this phase, it will just interchange between the stomp and the cleave. Also, the red beam increases the damage dealt and it also increases the damage received, so you've got to get this phase done and dusted as fast as possible. So it's time to put all what we know and put that actually into the phase and to get this phase over and done with. So when you start the phase you want to stack a shard if you can, and you want to move into the red beam where possible. Once in the red beam you want to berserk, Adren pot, get back up to assault, and you want to use assault. Then your adrenaline will actually start to drop with the bar on the top left dropping down to the left hand side. So you want to just keep attacking until you can use shatter. That's the ability that you use when you've stacked all your shards on this phase. Shatter hits very, very well, and then topped off with Hurricane should end this phase or get this phase almost done. Alright, so you're on to phase 4, you've almost made it, you've almost got the kill, you just got to stay calm and finally complete this round of rotations and to get the final kill. So the orb direction order is always the same, so you'll have 3 orbs in the room, you'll drop down next to the first orb, that's always in the west corner, or the west side. The second orb is in the east, which we'll go to after the first part of the phase is complete. And then you'll move on to the south orb when you've completed the east orb. Now minions will spawn at set intervals during this phase, and you will want to be killing them using Hurricane and Quake. You don't want to be using Hurricane and Quake on Telos itself, you want to be saving them for the minions. So you want to just deal damage with basics and also assault on Telos and save Hurricane and Quake for the minions. You also want to be aware of special attacks and typeless damage. Now the typeless damage you can't avoid, you have to deal with it just by eating food, so that is a bit of a shame, but you just gotta eat food and get, just keep your HP high there. Now the special attacks, just do what you've been doing from phases 1 to 3, wear your shield or your shield bow, use res on the cleave, and also use devotion and anticipation or freedom out of the way of the stomp. And also you can get insta-killed on this phase, which we'll go into and we'll dive into right now. So to begin on phase 4, you just want to attack it as per normal. Protect from melee, as it will be meleeing you, and you just want to stay as close to the orb as possible on the west side to begin with. During a set amount of HP, Telos will spawn some minions and will become invulnerable. So you want to kill these minions as the core or the orb is charging up there by taking damage from you and hitting the orb. Now when you see a green shield around the orb, that means it's going to be doing its one hit ability, where if you're not in that green shield you will get insta-killed. So when you've dealt with all the minions and Telos is back, you want to then surge over then to the east side, where we'll be dealing with the second orb in quick succession. So as you can see there, he'd done his special attack, which we quickly dealt with and got out of the way, and at a certain life points, when we knock him down, he will spawn a second set of minions. During the second set of minions spawn, he did actually do his special attack, which we avoided by using res. Now, when the minions do spawn, you want to use anticipate, because they do actually stun you, and like I said before, save your Quake and Hurricane for the minions only, just so you can deal with them quicker. Now, just keep using your food, keep brewing up and eating up, just to make sure that you clear all that typeless damage. Now during phase 2, depending on how you kill the minions and how quickly you do the minions, he does actually do a special attack there, which you did see me get hit on a 5.7k. That can be reflected back, obviously with reflect, and it can be dealt with in the same way as you deal with every other special attack, and that is by using resonance. Now onto the last orb then, is you just want to stand pretty much on top of it, get Telos down to its required life points before the minions do spawn. Keep watching out for them special attacks like cleave and also the stomp. Now the minions have spawned, you can use devotion if you do want to avoid the melee hits. Use anticipate again so you don't get stunned. Use hurricane and quake just to deal with them minions. Make sure, like I said before, you're in that green shield for that insta-kill attack. And then that is pretty much it. That is the end of all the orbs. Just got to make sure you're not getting hit by any of them last special attacks by using res, and that is pretty much the kill done. So hope you guys enjoyed this guide. I hope it did help you out, and I hope you guys can actually get your first Telos kill, or this can help you adapt your setup to get more efficient kills by using a Nihil rather than wasting so much food in a yak. So yeah, my thoughts on it so far. The loot isn't too great, the drop rate I'm not really quite sure of, but I'm going to keep going at it for now and just to see what Enrage I can get to and see if we can get any decent drops. So yeah guys, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Peace.